My first month of Herkyet has been quite a success. I've read 6 books that I was able to use, and with them I could fill the first 5 squares on my board for the Ain't Nobody Got Time for That challenge. So let's look through them. The first book that I read was The Lion Women of Tehran, and that was a really amazing read. It also fits really well into this challenge because it already gives me my first square that I can fill in. As the title says, it plays in Iran, and that is obviously a region that would count as some part of the earth. So I chose to take this book for the Middle East and put it down for prompt number 4 as my first region. This is great because I do try to read quite diversely in terms of different areas and different settings for my books, but because I also read quite a lot of sci-fi and fantasy, I don't tend to get to too many different places on the earth, so that was quite a nice region to get ticked off this early. Since it is allowed to double up on books, I also decided to double up on prompt number 5 for Choose Your Curriculum, because this book was quite historical and told a lot of history that happened in Iran, which was really, really interesting, and I felt that that definitely taught me something, so for me it was a great pick for the Choose Your Curriculum prompt. As I understand the Ain't Nobody Got Time for This challenge, I only need to read 1 book for most of the prompts, so those ones I will fill in and keep for sure, but the second ones and the doubling up, I'm not quite sure if I will always leave them in the positions that I put them in now, so I'm putting them in pencil just in case I decide that they might fit somewhere else better in the future, and then I will have the option to just switch them out and put them somewhere else as well, just in case you were wondering. With that said, let's move on to the second book, and the second book that I read was The Martian. Now, for me, I wasn't quite sure where to put that, and it didn't feel like I really wanted to use it as the one book that fills out a square for me, because I really want to make sure that they fit the prompts really well, at least, and then I can be a bit less stringent with the multiple books that I still need for those prompts. So with that said, I will put down The Martian as one part of my titular counting, because of course there's 2 words in the title, so that felt like a very safe bet to put it there. And then I also decided to put it down as a biome, because Mars in itself is a region where things could grow and theoretically live, so that would be by definition a biome. So I decided to use it for either Mars or maybe extraterrestrial as a biome as well. But as I said, it doesn't just fit well enough for me to actually tick off the box for myself. I can be a bit strict with myself sometimes. In any case, the next book that I read was Welcome to the Hyunam-Dong Bookshop, which is a book that is translated from Korean, and that was a really nice story to enjoy as well. And that one for me fits really well in my new idea that I have for the Herkyet mashup. And the prompt says that you can pick any 2 prompts from Herkyet version 1 and Herkyet version 2. And I was already thinking about this, but not sure yet. And I have decided that I want to mix up seasonal reads with translated books, because I really want to read more translated books, so that will push me to do that. But trying to find a read for each season also makes it a bit easier, because I only need 4 of those books if I want to complete the full square. For now, I only need 1 to complete the square at all in my easier version of the challenge that I'm doing, so I can fill it out and I can put in this lovely Bookshop book for that one. I also want to use this book for doubling up as one of my regions as well, because it's not only translated from Korean, but it also plays in South Korea, so I figured that would count for the region of East Asia. and I will put it down as that as well. That's 3 books down, 2 more to go. So the next one that I read is by an author that I really enjoy, and that author is Becky Chambers. So I'm gonna put it down as one of my backlist authors and one of the books that I read for that. The book that I'm talking about is To Be Taught If Fortunate, and I picked it up at Eurocon, which was an amazing convention that I really enjoyed and that I bought way too many books at, but most of them will fit here, so I think it's fine. In any case, I will note it down for prompt number 22 for that one. And in case you're interested in any of the books that I am going to be talking about in this video, you can check out my July reading wrap-up video, in which I go into detail on all of the books in terms of what they are about and how I enjoyed them. I will link it up here in the corner for you and also down in the description, so if you're interested in that one, just go check it out. And that video also has chapters, so you can jump to the books that you're interested in. You don't have to listen to all of them if you don't care. But back to Be Taught If Fortunate, and because you have a beautiful sun on the cover, I will also use it to double up on the weather prompt, because if I remember correctly, then the specification for sunny was that you can at least see the sun as well. So with that sun hanging there, I think that should fit just fine. So let me put it down there as well, and then we can move on to the next book, which again gives me another square to fill out. And the one that I'm using this one for is the Choose Your Own Curriculum prompt. The book that I read for this one is Bird by Bird, and that is basically a book of advice on writing and getting into writing and storytelling. So since it is kind of nonfiction and it talks a lot about literature and books, I figured that it would count for the subject of literature, and it's definitely set out to teach you something, and I picked up quite a few interesting points from it as well. So for me that fits really well, and I'll just put it down for that. To double up on this book, I will also use it for prompt 23, which is I must endeavor to acquire those creatures, because there is a bird on the cover, as the title suggests, and a bird is a flying animal, so I will count it as a flying creature and put it down for that one. Of course, this could also be used for animal families because of the bird, but I am reading quite a lot about animals, and this book is not actually about animals in any way, so I decided to not do that because I will be reading some more books in that area very soon, and I'll tell you about it in just a minute. Anyway, that's another book done, so we can move on to the final book that I can put in here for July, which is Denial of Service. This is a German science fiction thriller, and it was very strange but very interesting world building. So I enjoyed reading it, and I also really like the cover because it's a type of cover that I usually do not tend to pick up. I feel like this is very futuristic and artsy. So I decided that this would be a great fit to go for the space of cover styles, because that is very open and you can basically decide yourself what styles to go for. And I feel like futuristic art is a style that I don't read a lot of, and that sounded like a great option. This book also plays in the German city of Frankfurt am Main, and because of that, and because it plays in a kind of nearish future at least, I felt like it would also be just fair to put it down for the road trip prompt as well, and have it be part of my road trip through Germany. On my last holiday that I just took in July, I did pick up at least one more book that fits for that prompt as well, because I went shopping in a little bookstore in Schleswig-Holstein, and I love going shopping in small independent bookstores, so I figured I had to get a book from there as well by an author that actually wrote about the area there. So that one will be going on here as well once I get around to reading it. But with that said, we're done filling in books, and we already have 5 spaces filled out for my simplified version of the challenge. And now let me just write down how many books we have for the different prompts, because of course we also collected a total of 12 fulfilled prompts, if you want to count it like that, for the different types. So I'll just put them down here as well, so that I can have an overview of how the challenge is going. I feel like I was doing quite well for the first month, and as I said, I already have put out my August TBR, and I know pretty much what I will be reading next month. So I know for sure that I will be able to fill in at least 2 animal families in the coming month, because I'm currently finishing up a book on ravens and corvids, which is of course an animal family of birds. And I'm also just starting to read a book about different mammals that live in cities and with people. So that one has a fox on the cover, which would of course also be part of an animal family. So with that said, I think that prompt will be getting some nice books for sure. And I also have the book that I planned for the numerical titles, so the single word title, which is Feybound, and that one is also on my TBR for next month. So I think I will be able to at least get 2 more squares filled in here, and probably even more, because I have quite a few books that I am planning to read, and I'll just have to see where they fit. So I'm not sure if all of them will lead to me being able to fill out one of the squares over here, but that's okay, because of course, as I said, I don't only want to do the very, very simple version of Ain't Nobody Got Time for That, but I'm going to try to go for as many books as I can that fit the challenge somewhere, and I will at least try to get one type of bingo with completely filled out prompts as well. So yeah, that is my current state of my Herkiat challenge, and I'm quite excited to see it going this well. So if you're also taking part in the challenge, definitely let me know how you're doing, and also let me know if you like this type of video, because I really enjoyed how many people were interested in my first Herkiat video, and I really want to know if you're interested in hearing more book suggestions and ideas to fill out these different prompts from me as well, because if you are, then I will try to do one of these videos every month. But yeah, that's it for now, I think. So I'm gonna leave it here, and I want to say thank you very much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and go read something nice, and of course go get ahead in this challenge as well. Bye!